Hey guys, this is DFD, aka Dark Frozen Depths, and this is another pre-event video. Now, currently, right now, we have the crossover with the Kamihime event. That can run alongside this. There's, like the Kamihime thing lasts for like a month, so you could sort of take your time on that and do this if you want, or, vice versa. But the thing is, this event's also a raid event, so conveniently, if somebody else's, like if you're seeing a lot of raids start off, you can use raid points and then do this alongside the Koihime one where you use AP. So it depends on the situation, but if you're not seeing any raids start off, you're going to have to do it yourself. But this is going to be a Thunder one, and that means Wind is going to have the advantage. If you're using Water, you're at a big disadvantage, especially given what the boss can do. Oh boy. But yeah, I've actually looked over this a little bit, so I sort of know what's going on, but we'll still go over it together. But the big thing is that you're going to end up getting another Stinger for SR. So that can sort of manipulate what you keep on here, because the thing is, if you're just starting off, Stinger can fill in a few slots to help you out. But later down the line, you're going to want Stinger to come with Assault, if anything. But we'll get to that in a second. Now, like I said, raid events, so you're going to go through the same typical stuff. You get some story stages, then you have to grind out standard materials to get expert. You have to grind out certain materials from expert in order to get into Ragnarok. You kind of want to be careful at any point, unless you know you can just blow the enemy out the water. So pay very close attention to what they can do for each one, because there's a lot of different stuff. But anyways, the SSR you get from this is Tartarus, which is weird because, well, then again, we had Yggdrasil, because Yggdrasil was a tree. Tartarus is a gate. Ironically, they're both thunder as well. But, yeah, Tartarus is going to be kind of decent. It depends on this whole situation. But we'll get to that later. And then there's the SSR weapon. It comes with a dual effect, which is Assault and Rush. Both of them are medium. And again, people debate Assault, but at the same time, like, you have characters that can increase combo rate, then Rush can actually help you out. But if they're like specifically aiming for triple attack, then Rush might go against you. See, that's where it's debatable. But personally, I don't think Rush is a waste, as long as you can get a decent amount of Assault, like at least medium Assault. If it's a small Assault and then like a large Rush, forget about it. But medium Assault and medium Rush seems pretty decent. It's actually pretty generous, considering the fact that event weapons is actually giving you double medium. Normally, I give you a medium small. So that's something to keep in mind. And then we're going to get another SR Kamihime. It looks like she might be fire, considering what the Stinger weapon is. So that said, we'll look over her later and see what she does, because she's free. You're going to have her if you do this event. You might even get her later down the line because of the fact that we can start pulling for old raid SR. And some of them you might actually want to go for. Like, if you didn't get a few of them, they're actually worth it. Especially Atalanta from the water, for your water teams. But yeah, right here it doesn't have too much description, but you still should know some of this right here. It puts, like, the normal charge will put Curse, Seal, and Paralysis on one character. So that means you can't heal, you can't use abilities, you probably can't even move. That's what it's going to do for all that. And the burst, the Raging Burst, is interesting because it gives you it gives you an attack. Wait, I think it gives her a self attack and then something with avoidance rate, meaning there might be a dodge buff now. So it's like the opposite of blind, basically. But we'll we'll check that out a little bit more further down because it's got better explanation there. But yeah, there's a lot of different stuff you can actually get from the thing now. So keep that in mind. But that's what that quick little glimpse gives there. I don't know why they put it there. But anyways, here's where we really get into some interesting stuff. Now, like I said, standard fight, everybody gets hit by the looks of this. And then there's it'll give you corruption, which is a curse, and that means you can't heal. Seal, meaning that your cooldowns will just be locked. And then it says the enemy's evasion rate is up. So yeah. And then the raging burst is gonna end up having a oh. Okay, now that I'm really looking at this, that's a chance of a sneak attack, meaning they can get a critical increase with a self-attack buff. Ooh, okay, that's pretty bad. Then on top of that, paralysis and curse. Well, actually, corruption might be putrefied. Now that I'm really thinking about it. So yeah, corruption might be putrefied, I'm pretty sure of that. Because the curse comes from the raging burst. But yeah, this is going to be a status heavy fight, so yeah, you might have wing characters that can build up their burst gauge, but when the last I checked, need some status resistance. Now, the thing is, enemies with wing tend to get a lot of status resistance. Your team with wind, however, I don't know too many of them that really have that. It's usually light that gets to heal all that, or even water. But water is weak against this fight. So yeah. So that said, status effects, ugh. But thankfully it's standard, so if you're strong enough, you can probably blow through it in one turn. Standard enemies don't have too much HP. In fact, I think they had it up here. Yeah, she got 1 million in standard. Not to mention, you normally do more damage than that. But standard's not too bad. So it depends. Expert, you got to deal with 4 million, and that's where it starts getting a little bit trickier. So here's what's going to happen in this one. You're going to get hit with blind. And then on top of that, it says an evasion buff. So there's a slight... I'm guessing that they're going to start being able to dodge stuff even more. So I don't... That's the thing. It doesn't really clarify evasion. That's the biggest thing. That evasion is got it a little worried because that means you'll not only get blinded, which lowers the chances of landing a hit, but evasion on top of that also lowering the chances of hitting something. But I don't know if it counts as a buff or a debuff. If it counts as a buff for you, then yeah, but if it counts as a buff for them, then it's kind of a debuff for yourself. But the thing about this is the fact that the Raging Burst is really dangerous because it puts zombie on you. And it's not often we deal with zombie status. What that does is reverse the effects of healing, so you start taking damage when you heal. And to make it worse, it'll put regeneration on you. A 10% recovery up to 1,000 HP for 2 turns. My light team has a lot of HP, so that it's going to hit that 1,000 limit. But the fact that regen and zombie is put on you is pretty bad. If you can actually get some resistance to block off the zombie, then you get free healing. But if you can't, you're going to have to deal with a timer. Because for 2 turns of that 4-turn zombie, you're going to be losing about 1/5 of your HP. At most. So that's very dangerous. And then on top of that, there's a special behavior where it's like you're going to get hit with, I think when it looks like it's going to trigger when you get hit with raging, but it's going to sip in, oh, and it says if you put zombie on her, it says it's going to hit you pretty hard. But the thing is that, yeah, it's ended up saying that there's an avoidance buff on itself. So that means if you're hit with blind and it also has avoidance, you're probably not landing anything. Good luck with that. But the zombie is definitely a nuisance. That's the biggest nuisance. And the problem is with Soul, if you're using her, is the fact that she heals, then she removes the status debuffs. So you will take damage, and then you'll get the zombie removed. So relying on Soul as your only means of removing that stuff is going to counterbalance you. This is aimed towards you Soul users, so you might want to be careful. And then on top of that too is the same thing as if you had Cassiopeia or Andromeda. If they're healing you and there's people in zombie, they're going to be taking damage. But that's the whole thing. You're going to want to get some recovery, some status recovery. And they even say right here, like the only win character that's got any sort of status resistance is the swimsuit Poseidon, who is limited. You're not gonna have no resistance. Not without your souls doing any of that. So yeah. You're probably gonna want to put somebody that can actually heal status effects big time. Even if they have to be off element. That's gonna be pretty dangerous. Because the thing is too, you're probably dealing with the same crap in Ragnarok. They didn't even put a description here. But yeah, you're probably dealing with the same crap of Ragnarok. So be very, very careful with that. But by the looks of things, the Raging Trigger is just going to nuke you. And then on top of that, she'll probably hit you with it whenever she's putting zombie. But anyways, this is what we're dealing with for all this stuff here. Same typical thing. If you want to get just the bare minimum of the SSR stuff, then you need 55 Devil Souls, meaning 55 Ragnarok fights at the most. 50 Divine Souls, and those can drop from standard, so honestly, even a free player can knock out the, even the starting player can eventually knock out the standard list, like the Divine Soul list. But you can get help in the raid, so you shouldn't have too much trouble getting both lists as long as you can get some hits in. But 50 Divine Souls, 55 Devil Souls, and then of course you get more tickets the more points you get, but up to 3 million. You can also get more tickets by doing the side missions. We'll get to that later, but like I said, there's some interesting stuff popping up in these weapons now. But up to 40% elemental attack for thunder, and then there's a side effect of rush. It's a double attack probability, so just consider it rush for Tartarus. But the interesting thing is, and this is why you might want to keep her, because she's also got a decent amount of attack power. Summoning her puts evasion on your team. So we can actually get it as an ability. That said, this is the one time I think you might actually want to hold on to Tartarus, especially if you can get her to level 100, because her attack power is actually pretty up there. Heck, she's probably going to end up replacing somebody on my in my lineup on a few other teams. I know that for a fact. So that said, you can get evasion now. I probably will keep a level 100 copy of Tartarus just to have that evasion, because the evasion can help you. If you got evasion and then darkness on the enemy, whew, oh boy, I don't think they're going to land anything. More insult or injuries just to have paralysis or I'm dizzy, but yeah. And then it says corruption on there too, so I guess that's putrefied, but I don't know. But sorry about that. It's kind of late when I'm doing this. But yeah, the weapon does corruption on the enemy, which is probably putrefied. I'm almost certain that's putrefied. But yeah, it's a medium assault and a medium rush. Up to you if you want to use it, but that is a lot of attack power from this weapon. And it's a medium dual skill that you can get for free. I think it's worth it, but it's still up to you. Personally, my Thunder team needs a lot of different weapons too, so they're going to take this. But there's also the SR weapons, which makes this kind of interesting, because we have one that increases your burst damage for Thunder, one that increases assault for Thunder, one that increases the chance of sneak attack. And the thing is, when it comes to sneak attack, like, I don't know how much it is for the medium values exactly, but it's actually a chance to increase the damage you do. And usually it's double damage, but sometimes it might differ. I don't know full details, but assume it's double. That means you have a 20% chance of dealing double damage, basically, with large stinger. I don't know if medium even gives more or something like that, because it might even be a small stinger I'm thinking about. But if you can get that to 100%, that pretty much guarantees double damage. So that said, when you're trying to build up your ultimate grid or whatever it is, consider getting a Salt Stinger mix if you can. But I wouldn't put Stinger on its own unless you're just starting off. If it comes coupled with something else, then by all means. But right now, you might actually want to consider start putting Stinger in there, because if you can get it to high percentages, then it can help you out dealing a lot of damage. But if you have just one, then it's not worth it. Stinger is one of the things where it's just like Assault. You have to get a lot of it to make the most of it. It's not like Ascension where you might be cool with one of them. Or Rush, where even just one of Rush would still be cool, but you might want more. Like, Stinger is definitely one of those things where it's like, you want a nice handful of it, but once you get like 5 of them, you don't really need any more. So you got to keep that in mind. It's up to you if you want to put it in your grid ultimately, because I'm just giving out info where it's like, okay, this is what this does. It can be pretty strong for you. Consider it. But it's ultimately up to you on what you do. I'm just giving the info. But anyways, you can also get grails. So yeah, look forward to skill level enhancing, and quite frankly, my white grid's almost as far as it can get on weapon skills, so I might be able to finish it off after this. But here's your missions. The same typical clear 3 times on your own, jump into somebody else's 3 times. You'll get those daily. The same typical expert where you gotta use our Kamihime. This can be tricky because of all those different effects you can get hit with, and you won't have any means of really removing that unless you go in the there's a few characters that can actually remove that stuff, but I don't think they're really worth it because your off element with our characters is going to be dangerous. But yeah, this is where it can be a little bit tricky, I'm pretty sure. Make sure your win team is very, very strong. If you don't have it, then go with your best grid and use our characters for that. I'm probably going to try and do that with my white team because I'm not taking any chances with this. And then Ragnarok, you have to do it with fire. Fire. It's a damage race, so be careful on that. But my fire grid's actually pretty strong. I might be able to pull it off. And then they can buff to an amazing amount. As long as I can get the debuffs down, then that will greatly help it. But even then, I got some backups. So like Daki's going to be useless on her defensive move, but I do have Amaterasu who can use hers. So yeah, there's that. But if you're going for those missions for the extra tickets, remember you have to solo them. And it's 80 raid tickets, which is actually quite a bit. But if I'm right, the chances of pulling the SSR stuff is actually 0.1% or less. So, I don't know. But considering that these raid events can let you grind out a lot of magic jewels and a lot of +1 stuff and different sorts of things, you might actually want to go for it. Because, keep this in mind, as long as you can keep fighting, there's no limit. So, you can keep getting those 5 magic jewel pulls, you can keep getting those 1,000 gem pulls, you can keep getting +1s. As long as you can keep feeding the AP and BP to do it, have at it. This is one of the best events to actually try and power up your stuff because you can get a lot of free pulls, you can get a lot of materials, you can get a lot of gems easy too, so again, have at it. But anyways, that's all we got for this. Now I'm going to go into our free character that we get. And she's actually pretty hot. Pun not intended because she's fire. But I'm already seeing some stuff that's really, really good, but has some drawbacks. Now, looking at how she has these abilities, I can say this right out the gate that she will quickly build up burst gauge. Quickly build up burst gauge. Problem is, one of these moves will take out her HP. You can see it right there. She can guarantee double attack. She can guarantee triple attack. So, do the 2 turns of the triple and the 2 turns of the double, she's at 100 burst. She has nothing else, but there you go. And then she can increase her burst damage stacking it every 3 turns. And then it looks like she gives assault to the entire party too. But I don't know for sure. Yeah, it stacks up 30 bursts per each cast, so it's not realistic to get the burst cap of +500 on its own, but yeah. But you'll be losing HP, period, point blank, with this girl. She's situational. Like, on a fire burst team, she can actually be pretty good, but you're generally trying to get SSR characters because their burst multipliers are higher. But in a weird way, she can kind of work. But at the same time, why really complain about her? Because these 2 reasons. One, she's free. She's free. Go get her. 2, eventually, we're going to start getting Tower of Malice. When we get Tower of Malice, it has the very restrictive effect where, as you're trying to do floors, you can't keep using the same Kamihime. What I mean is, I don't know if it's a daily restriction or if they just can't do it for the rest of it. But when you use Kamihime, you're blocked for the rest of the day for using that Kamihime, at least for the rest of that day. So that means, say you go in with Michael, Sol, Ramiel, and Diana. I'll just pick 4 random names. Hell, we'll go with the basic 4. Say you go in with Nikke, Cybele, Amon, and Bao. Hey, guess what? You can't use them for the rest of the day. That's what Tower of Malice does. This is where you need to start collecting a lot of Kamihime. Because Tower of Malice is not too far off. I'm pretty sure of it. Like, it's within a few months, I'm pretty sure. Because Tower of Malice has been out for a while on the JP side. So, the Japanese DMM said, yeah, Tower of Malice is coming soon. Get this Kamihime, even if you don't plan on using her right now. Because, believe me when I say this, the Tower is going to be, ugh. You think Guild Order is bad? Tower is going to be worse, because it's going to start off at, like, I think it's expert level content, just like how the accessory layer 1 will be, and then, it'll just keep increasing in difficulty, so you're going to want to start off with your R girls and then eventually build up to SR girls and then eventually build up to SSR. You're probably going to want grids across the board built up. Do as much as you can. So, even though this girl is kind of niche, you're still going to want her. Honestly, you're still going to want her. But anyways, that's all I got for this video, guys. More of this is going to come soon because I've yet to upload the one fight that I did for one of the catastrophe fights, which you also want to start doing too. But I don't know if I'll actually put it up or not. You'll see at some point later down the line, because I'll either mention it or I'll actually have it uploaded. But anyways, there's that, and of course I'm doing the event because I'm going to try to do that. I'm definitely going to try and do the Expert R Challenge. I don't know about the Ragnarok. I got to double check my fire team, so I might have to feed resources over to them because they're pretty strong. But I want them to be stronger. But anyways, that's all for this. Like I said, more of this is going to come soon. And if you haven't seen that Something Unexpected video, go look at it because there's some very good Black Friday stuff that I've pointed out in there. And clock's ticking on it if you don't get it by the 27th. But anyways, yeah, that's 27th of 3 days. But anyways, that's all for this, guys. Take care.